What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon and Bullshit podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right. Welcome back to Bourbon and Bullshit. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of, we're recording directly downtown, Orlando Thornton Park area at Soco with Chef Greg Richie. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm pretty pumped up about this.
Oh, I'm excited. One, when we connected online, the moment I knew we were going to be good friends is when, hey, do you have a preference in bourbon? You said, yes. Cool. That's exactly what I need to know from a person. So really excited to get you on. You've lived a fantastic life, and it's something I really want to get into. So for those listening at home, you're down here. You've been in Florida for now, 15 years?
24 years.
24 years. Mm-hmm. Jeez. All right. So give us some spark notes real quick about who you are, what you do here, and how long you've been in working for Soco.
Right. Well, we just actually celebrated our 10th anniversary here at Soco. So we're pretty excited about that. We'll be doing some celebrating shortly, have some friends together to help us do that. So, about Soco, we're Southern contemporary cuisine. And so that's basically elevated, kind of modernized Southern food. And so that we just kind of play within those parameters. Not that we won't sometimes have traditional stuff, but we get some room to work with.
That's pretty awesome, man. And so this is a long time coming because I had to do my research on you and see a lot of the things you did. I really want to dig into it. One of the first questions I like asking everyone so we can get to know you a little bit is, what is your deathbed cocktail? I know it's a tough one, and it can be anything you want. I've heard someone tell me a Natty Light or Bush Light. So someone told me a shot of Rumpelmitz. So
that is so hard. I don't know that I've found my deathbed cocktail yet. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that. But I think within the parameters of what I would be looking for is something that have to be, I love cocktails that have to be balanced, and probably something shaken with acid.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like even when you think about food and you're pairing like a wine with food, you want something that's got a lot of acid, and so it makes it go with, and so it kind of makes it crave worthy where you keep drinking it.
That's true.
And so honestly, what I drink more of than anything is like a neat whiskey, but I think deathbed cocktail, maybe circle back around, and I'm going to keep thinking about it.
All right. I'll circle right back around and make sure that I always like that answer. You'd be surprised the people that, especially when I think about chefs, bartenders, they want something simple. You're like, I've just got to get the job done. So it's,
you said deathbed cocktail, but if you said deathbed food, I have been thought about that one, and it would be my mother's pork chop casserole. So all the fancy food, I could have said that's the one I would go to for a food dish. So
tell me why.
I think because it's just comforting.
Yeah,
I think mom made it. It's something that I love, and I still ask her to make it. When we get together and we visit, and so I think that would be that.
That's a really good answer. I think. To your point, those fond memories, their food, there's something, I joke about the three universal languages is food, alcohol, and music. And there's always that nostalgic feeling where you can go back to a time of that was a perfect time, a perfect moment. And what's usually the anchor is one of those three things. You think of that party, that drink, that food. So
you're super right. And, but then again, and going back to those nostalgic times, I wasn't drinking cocktails. So that's why it's harder, I think, for me to do that.
Yeah.
A beer maybe, because I could go back a little further in time.
Sneak that a little bit when you're young enough. Like my mom didn't know. We had, it's funny you say that because I also thought about my deathbed meal or something that I always think about, a great happy moment. And it's like the simplest pork shoulder, been needed for my mom. And I realized it brought me back to my favorite Thanksgivings with my family. It brought those great moments. So it's kind of interesting when you talk to people what mattered the most. So love the answer, man. Love it.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Oh, well, also guys, anyone listening, we started the day with drinking some Elijah Craig as a good baseline spirit. As most of us agree, Heaven Hill could barely do any wrong.
I haven't found it. They have.
Yeah. They ran out of larceny while I was in there. That was the only time I was.
How dare they?
Yeah, the balls. They're like, we're out of glass. I was like, the audacity of you to be dealing with a shortage.
The barrel proof, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the one. And they said that because I did the whole bottle your own bottle experience there.
Super cool.
And me and my fiance, because we love Louisville, we went through the whole process. We're like, oh my God, I can't wait to bottle my own larceny. It's like, that's the one thing we're out of. I was like, damn it.
Have to go back.
Yeah, okay, of course. We're going back, like, it'll be our third time.
Nice.
So tell me more about, like, kind of your origin story. Where did you start off? Like, where did you end up falling in love with cuisine, or did it start with cooking?
So yeah, we can go way back then to where I think it was like my 13th birthday that I said, okay, Mom and Dad, I want to be a chef.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said I wanted to do. And even back then, my birthday parties would like kind of center around food. So maybe I think at that 13th birthday, we had all our friends, my friends, we went and had the party at a pizzeria, and everybody made their own pizzas.
Okay.
And so that was kind of cool. And if you go back a little further in the 5th grade,
Mm-hmm.
no, not 5th, it was 6th grade, we did a how-to report at school, how to whatever. I did how to make homemade bread. And because my, I'd been baking bread with my mother, my grandmother, my granddad, and so that was a report most kids in 6th grade weren't doing.
Yeah, they're not.
You know?
That's why I looked. I was like, you were baking bread? Or?
Yeah. So, and it's funny that we still use that bread to this day in my family. It was like our family potato roll recipe.
You use a family. That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Also, this has been in your generation. Is this a generational thing and love for cooking, or is it just something you are like a standout?
I'm the only one that's done it professionally, but my mom and even my granddad and on my both sides were good cooks. Yeah. So good cooks in the family. Nobody else decided to go the hard route for a living.
Yeah, as glorious as it might seem, I know it's a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I have several friends that are in the industry. I have friends that are executive chefs out in South Carolina, or just in the service industry, servers, line cooks, waitresses, like everything like that. Like one's a host now. One was a host, now she's a manager out in one of the Maggiano's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a chain.
Yeah, so she's the one in Universal Studios. And
those are huge.
Yeah. She said it's huge, it's massive, there's always work, there's always something nonstop. So the service industry is always something that hard work. So you decided the hard path is for me around 6th grade when you made some bread.
And then my first job, I was 15 or maybe 14. I can't remember which. I started working at a little local pizzeria, Mamma Mia's in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I would get a ride to work, and I remember I can't wait till I get my own car and I can drive myself to work, because I had to get rides to work. So,
yeah.
But then I worked through high school, and it was known that by the time I was graduating high school, I was definitely going to culinary school.
Yeah.
And I went to Johnson & Wales University in Charleston, which is not any longer there. But and then that was it. That was nonstop ever since. So that was it. I graduated school. I went back to Atlanta, where I grew up mostly. And I don't want to date myself too much on public record like this.
No one's going to judge you.
Yeah, I mean,
you're wise. You're wise. I'm not that experienced.
So I moved to Hawaii, and I worked with Roy Yamaguchi at his original restaurant there in Hawaii Kai. And I was there for a little over 4 years, almost 5. And then
working with him must have been a really intense, but
he's super talented and legendary in the culinary world. And he's got his kind of a partner culinary wise. Gordon is also great mentor. But I was 10 years into the culinary field before I moved there and started working for us. And then funny thing is they offered me a sous chef position after a couple months of being there, and I was like, oh, really, thanks. But my initial plan was only to go to Hawaii for a year and then move back to Atlanta. I thought I was just going for a little bit of fun, a little bit of experience, and moving back. And I turned it down. I said, well, thanks, chef, but I'm moving back to Atlanta, so it's not the thing. Yeah. And all the staff thought I was crazy. They said, do you understand the opportunity? I said, no, anyway, then about a month or two later, I'm like, maybe I am stupid. There's no other James Beard winning chefs offered me sous chef jobs in Atlanta. Where am I going back to? I don't even have anything to do. So I told him, I'd like to reconsider, and stayed. And so that all happened. And then Roy started expanding throughout the country. And this is in the 90s, people. So, so
still not dating ourselves. Don't worry about it.
No, it's too late for that. So, they said, where would you like to go? They gave me a couple opportunities of where they're going to be opening up shop. I said Orlando. And so that's how I ended up getting here. So we opened up that Roy's in 2000. And so I was the chef partner for that Roy's in 2000.
That
and,
is, yeah.
And that was 24 years ago. So, I left there for a while, and I actually left Roy's to open Soco. But it didn't, the first place or two that I had picked out didn't work out.
Okay.
The real estate deals fell through, this, that, the other. And then along came the real estate bubble collapse, and then the economy, fell all to pieces. And so then I ended up, and I worked for Emeril Lagasse, and I ran his restaurant Chop Chop for about 5 years. And in the meanwhile, we never forgot about Soco, because it was kind of what this was kind of a culmination of my life experiences, my cooking experiences growing up in the South. And yet, I'd worked in Hawaii, and I'd done the Asian fusion with Roy's and stuff. And so that would, for so long, it became part of my culinary, like, backbone. And so anyway, the opportunity for this place to come up, the location that Soco's in now. And so, we started getting that done, and it took us about a year to build it.
That's
yeah.
Awesome. So this has been a dream. This place has been a dream of yours for over 10 years.
It was the goal, definitely over 10 years, closer to 20.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez. All right.
Yeah. If you go back in time, like the first time you could see Soco written on like some notes or something would have been like 2007.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful thing. This is more beautiful than I realized.
Thanks.
Because you pursued that dream for over 20 years and got it. And you are a staple, man. Everywhere I see you online, you guys are doing massive things, the partnerships, even charity stuff. The events are fantastic. We guys, for those who haven't been here, I looked over the menu. I'm about to gain 30 pounds, and their cocktails are great too.
We have a great bar program. We've always considered that the bar program, the wine program, all that, it doesn't play second fiddle to the food. It's just as important. And in fact, my thoughts are that, alcohol is just liquid food.
Yeah.
And so, it's all about flavors. And so when it comes to building cocktails, it's just like building a dish of food. The flavors have to match, they have to balance, they have to come together, they have to make sense. And so crafting a cocktail for me is the same process, and just as important as crafting an appetizer in the kitchen.
I can't even add to that. That's a perfect statement. This is 100% true. You think about the balance, you think about the flavors, you think about the mood, the setting, everything. And especially when you're thinking about your restaurant industry, understanding that these cocktails have to also pair well with some of the dishes and not come off terrible afterwards. Like, that's probably a lot of thought. Like, you can't put something that has a very swinging one way flavor profile and then something that might offset it and make it seem awful afterwards, right? Or I imagine. I'm not an expert. I'm here as just a podcast host.
Well, I think everything has to be properly balanced in its own context. So any drink on our cocktail menu has to stand on its own as a well-crafted thing. And then same with any, food dish or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, some things may naturally go better with another, but, hopefully you don't find anything. I mean, sure, I could probably find something that's not the world's best pick, but you're not going to be miserable because your drink is still good and your food's still good. But it's going to be fine.
Oh, you have nothing but positive ratings online. I didn't see a single thing.
Don't look too hard. There's always some jerk off out there that wants to say something.
To be fair, look, I don't work in retail anymore. There's always a Karen. There's always someone that's pissed off about something. So I take those with a grain of salt. Yeah. I worked retail for like 23 years. So to me, it's like, yeah, I know what those. When you could start reading a complaint and it's like, you're an asshole.
Oh, they lead right off.
They lead off with, I'm an asshole in one way, shape, or form. So I'm just whatever.
I went one time to Charlie Trotter's restaurant in Chicago, and some friends of mine, we went up there. It was for my buddy's 40th birthday, and we had the chef's table in Charlie Trotter's kitchen, and Chef Trotter was there working, and it was the first time I'd met him. And it was actually when the Cubs were in the playoffs and one year, and he was like, the Cubs, they're heading to the World Series, but they're probably only winning like 400, or they're batting 400, or like winning that many percent. But as a restaurant, you can't do that. You have to be 1,000%.
Yes.
And so imagine as a restaurant, if a batter hits 350, they're amazing, but if you're hitting 350 in the restaurant business, you're screwed. So it was just a thing that he said, and we're all just like, yeah, that's a great point. You really gotta hit it. And back to the Karens, some of those Karens, if you give them a 95%, they're going to find that 5% to complain about.
Yes, and it's true. And I think restaurants, especially nowadays with social media and everything like that, there's such like that you have to be on. You can't really have days off. Nothing could be slipped because there's always a Karen. There's always someone who had a quote unquote bad experience. I think I'm in a minority where I'm willing to give places like 3 shots, regardless. And it's because, other than like if you poisoned me, other than like, oh, well, I almost died. I can't go back to you. I'm sorry. But I think like, hey, everyone's allowed to have a bad night. And I think it's because I've been in it. I've so surrounded by people in the industry that it's kind of led to that. But I doubt that that's a standard that anyone else wants to really.
You're pretty forgiving. I mean, sure. I mean, I like to take the whole event in the context. I mean, was the service a little off, but the food was good? Okay. Was the food a little off, but the first was really good? And so, but if everything just sucks, well,
I'm not going back.
I mean, there's so many places to go to that I haven't been to yet. It's challenging. I'm not going to go online and shit on them though. I'll keep my opinions to myself.
That's not something I do.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't complain.
Like, the people that are just like live to go to Yelp. Come on. Like they're more likely to only say something bad.
Yeah. I think that's, like I said, because working where I did, where the customer service was like number one, I'm like, you can't keep every one of these motherfuckers happy. Short of me giving them the shit for free and then delivering it to their house, I can't keep these people happy at all times. So it is what it is. But I want to go back to the Southern contemporary cuisine, like the philosophy and trying to replicate that like feel good Southern home cooking. That grounded in like your time in Atlanta and working out there and living out there and emulating that. What would you say was like the dish that you're like, this has to be a part of it coming up? Like whatever my vision is, this is 100% going to be something I'm adding.
Well, I'm not sure. Are you saying, did I see a dish out in the wild?
No, that you had or you experienced.
I don't think that happened. It wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that.
More what happened was I sat down with intention.
Okay.
And I wrote my initial menu like very, very intentionally. And I said, okay, I want to have a well-balanced menu, just like the dishes. So we want to have the fish, the seafood, the meat, the pork, the chicken, all the different things. So balanced in that way. And then each dish would have to be Southern contemporary. And so like take chicken and dumplings, my Soco style chicken and dumplings. Chicken and dumplings is very Southern if you hear about it. My grandparents would make chicken and dumplings, but it's nothing like what we're serving. So it's chicken and dumplings, mostly a name, but it's actually it's a dumpling in that it's like a lobster dumpling. It's kind of got Asian nuances to it. That there is chicken and there's like a soy butter sauce and things like that. And that is a dish that's still on our menu today, but it's so 10 years it's been a signature dish, and if there's only 2 things that have never come off the menu, that's one of them.
What's the other one?
The other one is kind of just like our fresh catch, and the fresh catch does change, but the style of the dish in which it's a pecan crust. It's pecan crusted, and it has this local rice from Jupiter, Florida, and a little lemon butter sauce, and it's very simple. It highlights the pecans, which would be Southern to me. I feel that's a very Southern nut, and local fish, like tonight it's like a red snapper. But a couple of days or tomorrow it might be halibut or something.
Sure.
But always
very intentional.
Right. So when you ask about a dish that had to be on the menu, it was more like is it Southern contemporary in concept? Okay. And then I would craft it around that.
Okay. Awesome. Guys, we're about to Chef is sharing a Heaven Hill product, the Old Fitzgerald 10.
This one is a 10-year. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. And it just came out in spring of 2024.
This is fantastic. So what's the proof on this? Just for the nerds.
Oh, it's always bottled in bond.
Yep. It's 100 proof. It's beautiful. I love the bottle. It's a beautiful decanter.
Yeah, it's real nice, right?
But cheers, Chef. Thank you for having us. Guys, we're going to take a very quick. Oh, that was really fucking good.
Isn't it? Damn. Came right after that Elijah Craig, and of course their family.
God, that's fantastic.
Isn't that delightful? This is my first sip of it.
This is your first time trying
absolutely. It? Absolutely. Yep. I wanted to sip it with you.
I've never had it either. Cheers to the first time.
I mean, my first time of this Old Fitz.
Oh, that Old
Fitz.
I have not had Old Fitz 10. I've had 19 because it was at the Heaven Hill distillery. Outside of that, I haven't had the 10. I haven't been able to secure that or any of the younger years. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Keep the lights on, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, while you're listening to the show, we know that you might want to partake in some drinks with us and enjoy in the libations. Here at Bourbon and Bullshit, we ask that you drink responsibly. don't drink and drive, avoid Amazon one-click buy, and for the love of God, do not text your ex. You do not need that kind of closure. They've moved on, so should you, Joseph. You should stop Facebook stalking. She knows. She knows. Now, all jokes aside, don't do anything dumb, take care of yourselves, and be safe. Thanks, guys. Now back to the show. All right, guys, we are back, and we were just really thoroughly enjoying this old Fitzgerald, and Chef did drop some knowledge on me about. Do you want to mind repeating about?
No, okay. I mean, I'm not an authority on this, but I was just mentioning that Old Fitzgerald, they have 2 releases a year. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, and they change. Yeah, so they may be a 10-year one time, or a 17-year, or 8 or 9 year. Yeah. But one thing about the Old Fitzgerald line is they're always bottled in bond, which means they're always going to be 100 proof. Yeah. And it's always in this beautiful decanter, which is pretty cool.
Gorgeous. It is gorgeous. We talked about it and continued drinking. We almost forgot we were doing a show, so I apologize for those who might hear us a little bit more slurred. But it's a fantastic bottle. I really do appreciate you sharing it with us. I did want to talk to you, especially in your profession in the culinary scene. And Orlando's become one of these kind of booming areas for like specific different kinds of foods and pho and all this kind of random cuisine that's coming through, mixology bars, cocktail lounges, all these things. And we've seen kind of a boom where we're moving away from like franchises. Yes, franchises are like a staple, especially when you think of yourself as a tourist area. Someone wants to go to somewhere that they know they're familiar with. That's why franchises are profitable, right?
Sure.
You walk into a Chick-fil-A, it's always going to be the same Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts of like how big Orlando's culinary boom has been taking place? And
it's amazing. It's wonderful. I got here, like I said earlier, in 2000, and back then, outside of Disney, or hotels or something like that, there weren't a lot of big good restaurants. But now you can throw a rock and hit a great restaurant, mm-hmm. in any direction, especially in the different little areas. We're in Thornton Park. But all the little boroughs are almost, you got the Mills 50, you've got, Audubon, you've got, just all these little areas, the mm-hmm. neighborhood districts, and they've all got great restaurants in them.
Yeah. Do you feel like that drives like, hey, I need to step up your game, or do you like, how does it? Yeah,
it definitely does. Back when, when I came to town, like I was kind of saying, there wasn't so much that stuff. And so Roy's became a major player, in the culinary scene. 10 years after that, you've got like, there was like the Primo, and the people that came from Primo started spreading out everywhere, and that were underneath that umbrella, and they started opening up places. And now you've got the next generation of cooks that came up underneath those guys, and they're opening up restaurants. And so you can see like the proteges of talent come through generationally in mm-hmm. 24 years, like I have seen. Mm-hmm. And I guess you'd call me an OG of this culinary scene. I would, yeah. And so it's what's kind of funny now is like, these younger people, they don't even know who I am because I'm so old. They're like, well, I'm not relevant to them. But if you go to the older crowd, well, they're like, oh yeah, we know Craig. But the point being, we definitely have to stay relevant by putting up great food. Mm-hmm. We might not have the social media presence of some of these other people. We might not have some of the sizzle and flash that's going to come with just who's new and hot. Yeah. But what we do know is that after 10 years, we're still putting forth great food, great drinks, great service.
You're flourishing still. But
every time there's a new restaurant open, they're like, man, okay, for one thing, they do pull infrastructure from the culinary community. So there's going to be a little bit less cooks and servers and, mm-hmm. and management and people, bartenders, all that to go around. So mm-hmm. So we have to develop more. Mm-hmm. You have to develop more staff. You have to take some kids or people that didn't have a lot of experience, and you have to give them the experience, and then you have to retain them. Mm-hmm. So it's this whole kind of a process that's ever evolving. But every week that we go on, there's going to be a new restaurant pop up, and we have to always be mindful that we have to be on our game, and, mm-hmm. and you have to kind of reinvent yourself. And, as far as Soco goes, we're only reinventing to a point. We're not going to become not Southern contemporary. Good. But we will continue to, come up with new dishes, cool dishes, and hopefully this very week, in about 2-3 days, I'll have a new brunch menu that'll come out, and there's some cool stuff on it. Yeah. And it still fits conceptually within what is, Soco, but fun, neat things. Yeah. And then another week later, we'll have our dinner menu will change. And so always fun and exciting, but staying true to who we are.
That's awesome. Still, yeah, I think I could say it because I'm not in the industry, but when something's fast and flashy, I don't always think it'll last. I think there's something that about consistent good food that's not just like the hot commodity right then and there that I love, I enjoy. I think that you see that holistically, you've fully developed the concept, you fully developed who you guys are, and you stay true to it and not try to just, you evolve, but you don't change the core. The core values are what makes you unique. And I think in our previous episodes, when we're talking about that experience and how you connected to the people behind the story, behind the building, it makes loyal customers. I use the courtesy as one of my, I always use them as a prime example because they've moved once and they've changed concepts, blah, blah, blah. But the staff there, the feeling there, the vibe there, I will follow them.
They're
wherever
great.
they are.
I love what they do over there.
Yeah, I adore everyone in that building. I go in there at least once every 2 weeks, even if it's just like, hey man, I'm just in the area. Like, hey Billy, I like Billy Maskers is a friend of mine, so I give him shirts. So like, hey, I got new merch. I got stuff. Like, here you go. He's like, oh, awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've been there when they were conceptualizing cocktails, but it wasn't about behind the scenes. Is I fell in love with the spot, the people, everything, and I'm sure that's what happens here as well.
Well, I'm a big fan of the courtesy, and if you go back way in time, before I even opened Soco, I went and did an event. It was kind of a collaborative event with me and a couple other chefs, and Diane and Gene.
Yeah,
we went to James Beard House. And we did a thing up there together. And so me and these other chefs, we put together some food, and then those guys representing the courtesy put together some cocktails and stuff. And so it was just really cool.
Tell us about that. Don't just give us spot notes there. You're bearing the lead here. Tell me about that experience. What was that like?
Okay, so that was really great, obviously. And that was I do believe that was my second time to cook at the Beard House, I think. But
for those who don't know what the Beard House is.
So that's James Beard House was a prominent figure that brought culinary advocacy to the forefront in America. And, anybody who wants to be a chef in America goes to cook at the James Beard House. And of course that becomes the James Beard Award, to which, goes to a very select few in the country. But, nonetheless, we were up there, and it was Kevin Fonzo and Hari Pulapaka, both of who now have retired their restaurants, but also stay relevant, doing interesting and fun things in the culinary community still. And so we were doing the food, and like I said, the courtesy. They're doing that thing. So yeah, that's what we do. That's
a pretty fun experience, and you guys maintained that relationship since.
Yeah, it was cool. Still see Kevin, still see Hari. Just saw Hari like 2 weeks ago, and Kevin's doing the Edible Orlando Foundation thing.
What is the Edible Orlando Foundation?
Well, they have like a whole cool mission, and they have like a little school, and they do a really neat job with educating, especially young people, about where their food comes from. How their food is grown, how to cook. Kevin actually was behind that, and he's probably somebody you might want to talk to for this show. He was an advocate for, food health. Where's food come from? How's the food grown? Teaching kids. Kevin teaches kids or I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but he probably is. But he would give cooking classes to kids, and especially kind of like at need kids who were a little bit
underprivileged or might not have access to that. There's like food deserts and things like that might not have access to the same level.
Exactly, that's the words I was looking for. And a couple times I helped one time, with a class, and then a couple times he would have like competitions for these kids where they would cook. Their kids are making pasta. These kids are like 10 years old from scratch. These kids are like 10, 12 years old, and they're using knives, and they're making pasta. And, me and some other chefs would come in, and we would be like the culinary judges. It was a pretty cool thing. And
that's badass.
It's really badass. And so
that's Master Chef Junior right there.
But for real. And so much props to Kevin, and, he's well beloved in the Orlando scene. So that was the whole thing, and I'm not sure. I got off track. What were we even talking about?
Where we just about we started with the culinary industry right now in Orlando, and just kind of the unique programs and things that are doing. And it does seem like there's a community built within the industry locally. So working with those charitable organizations and doing all those programs. has to be super fulfilling as well from your standpoint. I know you've done some recent stuff too. You were talking about some of those events and some of the celebrations that you have here. Like, is this something like on the side, you're like, I want to be able to give back at all times, or like?
Yeah, we're always doing something like, a couple weeks ago, they had the cows and cabs thing, and that's John Rivers' thing. And you've got,
From Four Rivers.
From Four Rivers, and he's got the Four Roots, and that thing raised over $1 million.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Through what? How?
Because it happens every year in November.
$1 million, yeah.
And you've got anybody is there.
Yeah.
If you think of a top restaurant, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or a bar. Forward Slash was there, right?
I love them.
So a lot of big brands are there, restaurants are there, all the people are there. And so those are kind of cool because you get to see your colleagues in the industry.
Yeah.
And you're there for a good cause.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit of hard work, but it's fun to get out of the restaurant, out of the four walls, and do some good.
Okay.
And, hopefully you have a little fun doing it. I had a sore back because the tables they give you are like 3 feet tall, and I was a hunchback by the time you're done with that.
Oh God.
Yeah, it took me 3 or 4 days to recover. But
you make my lower back ache just talking about it.
Yeah. I had a flashback for a second.
Jeez. But it sounded like a lot of fun too. I think I put chefs and people in the cooks in the creatives type of category. Like, I think there's not enough credit given to that process, not enough like that. Do you find yourself expressing yourself creatively in other ways? Like, I know that you did do cocktails for a while as well, but anything outside of those two?
I did music when I was younger, but I wasn't writing music, so I don't know if I could say I was expressing it in those regards. But I mean, I don't think I get.
You express yourself through music, not through music, through food and drinks.
Yeah, or maybe I just express it by playing somebody else's music.
That's fair. That's fair. No jokes. I don't know. I'm getting a little residual static. It's fine. I'll fix it. But it's not slouching at all. Earlier we did kind of touch about some of the awards that you've won, and one of them was about cocktails. And can you tell us about that? Like, what was the drink? How'd you get into that?
I love cocktails just as much. Where I love spirits and the blending of them into new flavors. Mm-hmm. Just as much really as I do about food. And that has evolved over time because, 10 years ago I didn't, mm-hmm. but now I do. But I did. Okay. I mean, if I back up a little bit regarding mixology, I wrote the opening cocktail list for Soco. So, I did that. And that was 10 years ago. And a couple of those drinks have had staying power. So they're still on our list, a couple of them. Mm-hmm. But most of them are not. And in fact, the ones that are just like brunch cocktails, things like that, like the sparkler and a coffee drink. But I think if you go back a while, okay. Some number of years ago, 7 years, I'm going to guess, one of my liquor reps said to me, "Hey, we're having the owner of this this bourbon company come in. And we're wondering if you'd pair some food and cocktails or something with what you're doing." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I did it. We set him up back here, and so I did that. And after the dinner, the guy was blown away. His name was Chris Romsky. It was Duke Bourbon, and Chris was a big name too in wines. He owned 100 Acre Winery, Layer Cake, and maybe even some other stuff. But 100 Acre is like way up there, really, really primo stuff. But he had gone into a collaboration with some of John Wayne's, the Duke, some of his kids. And so Patrick Wayne, Ethan Wayne, they were involved with this. And the Duke, of course, is John Wayne's, kind of his nickname.
Yeah, his nickname, yeah. And
that was is a bourbon. And so he said, "Hey, this was really great. You should enter this competition that we've got, we're brewing up." He goes, and he gave me the link to do it. And so I submitted some recipes and pairings, some drinks that I made up to go with some and paired them with food. And I ended up being a finalist in this one. And the finalist went to Las Vegas.
Meeting the Masters?
I was meeting the Masters. And so we went to Las Vegas and for the competition. It was a 3 or 4 day competition over the course of the days. And I tell you the thing that stood up, here's the thing. I got my chef coats pressed and my knife sharpened up and I was ready to go. And of course they said, bring some stuff so you can make some drinks. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I'll bring a drink shaker, a shaker tin and, a stirrer, which and a jigger, which I went and stole that stuff from the bar. And I didn't have anything to put that stuff in, so I emptied out my old, I think it was a Calvin Klein shaving kit, and I shoved it into there, put it in there.
Oh, Greg, I like you so much. I like you so goddamn much.
and I brought it, but I had my knives in a sweet case, right? I had my knives in a sweet thing.
Yeah.
So I get up there, and here I am in Las Vegas. I'm there, and we're all checking in the hotel, and I'm looking around, right? And I'm like, I find somebody from the company I knew. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, well, so which of these other people are chefs? I don't see anybody who look like chefs. They're like, oh no, none of these people are chefs. They're all like bartenders. You're the only chef. I was like, what? And now I'm like semi panic mode. I'm like started sweating a little bit, and I'm like, what the hell?
Because you're a chef among a bunch of bartenders in a bartending competition.
I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna have the upper leg on them when it comes to cooking because I can outcook most of these bartenders, I assume. Oh no, you're not cooking. What? Then my parent got. Then my panic, I was like away over, and I was like, oh my God. So I had a moment of like, where's the Xanax? But,
Bourbon helps.
None was on hand at the moment. Anyhow, but I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to have fun. I'm in Las Vegas. So we're just going to do this thing. Anyway, so it was a course of a couple of days competition. I kind of held my own over the first day and the second day. And it was a kind of a cumulative thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, they had, I can tell you, they had like a Fred Dame, who was a master sommelier, and I think he's got a show on Netflix, and the Tasting Panel magazine, the publisher of that, Chris Radomski, and one of John Wayne's sons, Ethan Wayne, and the corporate mixologist from like Southern Wine and Spirits. They were all the judges, and at the end of this thing, they said, okay, and the winner is, believe it or not, Greg Richie. So I won this thing, and I almost just fell on the floor. I didn't think I was going to win it. So that was like the first major competition.
With your makeshift mixology bag.
Yeah, these dudes were rolling
and
up
unnecessary knives.
Oh my God. These guys, some of these guys rolled in with like tool chests, like 4 or 5 feet high, pulling out the smoking guns and some of this crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even have any of this stuff, And so it was wild. It was super wild, and it was fun. How
did that feel to know that? Like,
it was amazing. It was so amazing, and that was just a blast. And some of these guys at first they're like, "What the hell is this guy doing here?" Like this, right? But then after I won, we're like, "Well, of course he won. His whole job is to pair flavors and do things like this."
Oh, now they have shit to talk after you won. First, it's like, what business does he have doing here? And then he's like, he should have won because he.
Yeah, that's like no lies, but they were a great group of guys. And I still know some of them to this day. But they were from all over America. Boston, Washington, New York, New Jersey, Arizona, like all over.
Oh yeah, that has to be so rewarding. Look, I know you. I don't know if you would say it, but I'll say it. Like, it feels good to walk into a place where you're not the professional there, like the experienced professional, and you won.
It was amazing. But that was in the past, and we're moving on.
I know.
So at least I can
walk
awesome, around and drink.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. I know that it was first place in the national cocktail competition in Vegas that's been brought together. Some of the top bartenders and mixologists in the country. So that's a big prestige.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But so is that something like, hey, you did it because, I know you said you did it because you created the menu here for it. Is that something at home you practice, or something you do here, or something you still stay actively in it? Because you said the initial menu you wrote.
Well, I actively make cocktails for myself.
No, but for the restaurant itself. Do you have a hand in that, or is that something you handed off to somebody else?
Well, we have Tim Wills, and Tim's been with me we've been open 10 years. Tim's been here for 9 years and 9 months.
Damn.
And so Tim's awesome, and he is an excellent mixologist and excellent bartender and super cool dude. And I give him tons of credit for running a great bar program. And he tolerates me getting back behind the bar and screwing around with him, which I appreciate. And we do bounce ideas off one another. Mm-hmm. And so I have perhaps a small influence over the final cocktail list, but Tim ultimately drives it, and I'm really just there to lend some input. That's all I got to say about that.
That's awesome. I love it, man. I can't stress enough. Like even looking over that drink menu, it's just badass and just something that I can't wait to get drunk here.
Well, why wait?
Trying, guys. We're gonna open up this rare character. We already opened it because if anyone's ever had rare character, this shit has a lot of fucking plastic around it, and
It's got like 3 inches of wax.
yeah. Oh, sorry, wax. You're right. I'll let you pour your own.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, so this one is from the Orlando Whiskey Society of Central Florida. They have a barrel pick that was dropped off into one of the liquor stores locally out in Apopka. Yeah, Orlando Whiskey Society. So I've never tried this. This will be a first. We literally opened it today. But this one's just coming out a little hot. This is going to be 134.62 proof.
That's what's up.
It's aged 8 years, 10 months. It's a straight rye whiskey. I'm a big rye person because I like the spicy notes. I like all that. I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff and kind of talk a little bit about rum and some of those as well, because you talked a little bit about that.
All spirits are wonderful to me.
Thank God. I guys, I'm never leaving here. This is my new home. But with cheers, we're going to try to enjoy this purveyor of rare whiskey from Rare Character.
My first sip of this ever.
Ooh, that's good. That's good in the nose.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Oh boy.
Ooh, that does not taste like that heat.
It's fruity and spicy.
That does not taste like 134 proof.
Man, only in the best way though.
Yeah. Oh God, that's actually fucking dangerous. That's a problem.
That's a good problem to have though.
That's a really good problem. Whew. All right.
Single barrel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I are both actually members of the Orlando Whiskey Society.
Yeah, we are. Which we found out today that we are part of more groups than we realized. Yeah. Like, yeah, but, oh, he's wearing a shirt for Frozen Iguanas. Shouts to them. I love them and what they do. They do. That's where I'm getting my W12.
Is that right?
Yeah. Remember that order?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. So I got 2 coming in. That's what I've been waiting on my mail call.
All good people. So many cool people in these groups, and what a great way to make friendships.
Yeah, I do think that's one thing that food, liquor, and music, man. It's a universal language of just things that make sense.
Yeah.
And like having those fun like stories and building that dynamic. Do you mind if I ask you a little bit more about your culinary
Go ahead.
journey and how like the people you've worked with and some of these massive names? So you worked with Emerald.
I did.
And like, how was that experience? And how about this? Anytime during your culinary experience, were you ever like starstruck, like a fanboy for a second and going, I can't believe this is where I'm at, or I can't believe this is who I'm working with?
As a general rule, and as the kind of the person I am, I don't do that. I don't get like that. Good. It's not in my like personality to be like fanboyed out.
I appreciate that.
But I have had the opportunity to mostly through Emerald and also through Roy, really through Roy and Emerald. Those guys are big names, like internationally massive names. Yeah. And so, the trickle down effect meant that I got to, kind of rub elbows with massive names.
Yeah.
So, like Nobu Matsuhisa,
from Nobu.
right. He's good friends with Roy. And so, I met that man through there. And some of the other, like Tetsuya, he's a big name, and a couple of them might come to mind if I thought about it. But then if you come over, like I said, the first time I met Charlie Trotter was actually not through Emerald, but Emerald was massive friends with Charlie Trotter, and so then
it's networking.
I met him more, or guys like Tyler Florence, who actually he and I have a lot in common. We went to the same like culinary school together, like 2 years apart. We just missed each other. Or like Dean Fearing in Texas, or of course now there's Norman here in Orlando. He's great friends with Emerald and also with Trotter. But there's just so many big names and so many amazing chefs that I never would have met if it weren't for my proximity to these legends.
Yeah.
So that was super. I mean, that was probably the coolest thing about it was just letting some of their stardust fall on me,
and learning those things and feeling like you got elevated every step of the way.
So when I went to work for Emerald, I was pretty established as a chef, but I learned from him, like, that man was so charismatic. Chef Emerald, he when he walks in, he's got that presence, and you feel that you feel that, you know, he controls the room, and when he talks to you, you feel like you're the only guy that's there. Like he gives you that attention. It's amazing. Like he had that power, and he was also a great, almost like a salesperson, that he sells you what he's telling you. And if he's telling you that something is good, you believe it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing how he does that. But I always enjoyed him. Emerald was super cool. I really enjoyed just chatting with him and being around. Of course, he had a lot going on, so he didn't spend a lot of time at my one restaurant that I was running for him.
Mm-hmm.
But when he did, he always had like really great feedback, really, really great.
Genuine nice guy.
Well, yeah, he is a genuinely nice guy, but also like anybody who's successful, like don't screw around.
Yeah.
Like you know, I mean, you know, you got to be on your job, right?
Yeah,
you know, whatever. Like, you know, and I guarantee you that when he was like running one restaurant, he put like a foot right up somebody's ass.
100%.
You know,
now he has people for that.
That's what now he has people for that.
Now he could be the charismatic great guy.
No, I'd put a foot up an ass, and, you know, because I was his people for that. But anyway,
I'm a guy for that. You're the guy for that.
Yeah, you're the guy. So anyway, it was all great experiences, and you know, the culmination of these experiences, you know, mistakes that I've made and things I've done right have all made who I am now, as it does with all people. And you know, that's what it is.
That's fair. I think that it's cool because there are some people that I see on, like, obviously I don't know Emerald. I don't know the personalities, and you know, you're depicting some kind of selling, but Emerald always seems like a very genuine, like great, fun guy. Probably really loud personality.
He's fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, at this point,
I think chefs in general are pretty fun to, like, everyone I've run into, at least I've been fortunate enough to run into some pretty fun in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm sure everywhere there's a dick.
Plus you're drinking bourbon with them half the time. So it brings out the best of us, right?
Oh yeah. Getting drunk is the best universal language, man. That's my currency. Like that's what I love being here for. You talked about some mistakes, some dishes. I did want to circle back because I completely fucking overlooked it because we talked about the bartending competition. What was that drink?
No, it was a bunch of drinks. Like I said, it was a three-day competition.
Yeah, but so what was like the drink that you were like, this is my Mona Lisa, like I knocked it out the park from at least that competition?
No, I think it was more like this.
Yeah, tell me. Break it down.
Like the first day of competitions, we went to this massive, like, Southern Wine and Spirits, like, headquarters. And they had like this one room that there were like 10 stations set up, and everybody would go to it, you know, and we were all lined up.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, this is John Wayne Day, you know, with this, we watch all this, you know, videos of his old movies and stuff. And John Wayne had cowboy movies, and John Wayne had Pacific movies, like Pacific War movies, South Pacific type things. And then Ethan Wayne, who was his youngest son, his mother was Peruvian. And so that set the stage for 3 parts to this first competition. We're going to give you there was a big table with a bunch of ingredients from the Southwest, like his cowboy movies. Mm-hmm. So maybe there was like cactus or chili peppers or, I mean, I don't know, man, beef jerky.
That's dope.
There was a lot of stuff. Beef jerky was definitely one of the things that I just said. Then there was another table that was the South Pacific stuff. And so there was, you know, a bunch of Asian stuff. So things that you would find, you know, in Vietnam or you know, the Philippines, or I don't know, wherever, whatever these things were. So kaffir lime leaves, lemongrass, you know, limes, citrus, galangal root, ginger root, all that stuff, right? That was all on one table. And then on the other table, the Peruvian table from Ethan's mother, there were things like cola nuts and some things, honestly, I don't remember now. That was a while back. But so you had to make a drink from each one of these tables, and you had to use the Duke bourbon. You had to use at least like 3 items from each table. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was that aspect of the competition. And so some of these dudes, and you had to name it, and you had to blah, blah, blah. So some of these guys were doing stuff that was like, maybe they were doing more because they knew how. Honestly, my lack of some of culinary, or rather mixology knowledge, might have been to my benefit, because they were going like crazy, doing all kind of nutty stuff that maybe made it counted against them, because ultimately I just tried to put a simple, straightforward drink.
Less
right?
is more.
So, I would make a drink with, lime and lemongrass and make it well crafted. And so I kind of did like, I think I made like it was like a whiskey sour using like, the ginger and the lime and lemongrass. And so it was a solid drink. It was a solid drink. Would it blow your mind? I mean, I don't know, it'd blow anybody's mind, but it was like, that's a solid drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so my whole process was that I just made solid drinks. This was pretty good. Oh, yep, pretty good. Whereas some of these guys had like fails. They would fail because they're kind of got over their skis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I didn't fall on my face maybe because I didn't know enough to get over myself.
You didn't get too big for your britches. You stayed at what was
because
consistent.
I didn't know how.
Yeah.
I was just the best I could do is try to make you a good drink. And so that's where I was. So that got me through the first day. And I specifically remember the first time they're looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? He's not even a bartender. He's not a mixologist. But and then they taste my drink. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, have you ever bartended before? I'm like, well, yeah, I have. I've bartended before. I did that out of culinary school. I did. Not at a place like y'all do, but I did steak and ale. Matter of fact. Yeah. Anyway,
Steak and ale.
Steak and ale.
That's the name of the place.
Yeah, it was a whole chain, man.
That's fucking awesome. I've never heard of that place.
Well, they're all gone now.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Steak and Ale and Bennigan's was the pair, and
I do remember Bennigan's.
Bennigan's and Steak and Ale were related, same company.
Oh, okay.
But it was like where I grew up. Steak and Ale was fancy. You went in and it was dark lighting and all this, and trust me, they weren't making any fine craft cocktails. No.
That's the Busch Light place. That's the Busch Light place.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's the way the first day went, and the second day was we actually went out. It was Channel Your Inner John Wayne, and we went to a shooting range out in the desert, and we were shooting machine guns and pistols, and it was kind of just probably more for fun, but they said it was part of the competition, but I don't know if it was. and then
it's just so we could make an excuse to shoot guns.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm not mad at it.
And
we were in Florida, so. And
then we went to Yardbird, which has a place down in Miami, but the owner of Yardbird was with and was friends with Chris, the owner of Duke. And, so we kind of like, okay, and here's some food and here's some whatever. And what would you, pair with this? And they kind of just made notes. But then the next day we went to the boiler room. And so the Top Chef Masters guy, Rick was there, and he was a judge. And I remember the way this went. He gave us two things. He made fish tongue. No, I mixed up two things. He gave us lamb's tongue, shepherd's pie. Okay, shepherd's pie made with lamb's tongue.
Okay.
And fish tacos made with Kona Kampachi fish. And we had to make cocktails to go with each of these two dishes.
Okay.
And I know in a
shepherd's pie is rich.
Well, you got your mashed potatoes in there, and you got your vegetables and the meat. And it's kind of stacked like this. And I noticed one thing. I'm in here. I'm like, okay, I'm getting the mirepoix. You've got the carrots and the onion and the celery, and you got your lamb's tongue and stuff. I'm like, so I'm going to make a drink that kind of plays into what's there. And I specifically remember that I took some like cocktail onions, and those was my garnish. And then I made carrot juice. I juiced a carrot, and I used some carrot juice in this, and I had some celery bitters. And so I put the flavors of the mirepoix into this cocktail. And that was my drink that went with the shepherd's pie.
So you made a liquid shepherd's pie base.
I kind of did, right? I actually don't remember at all what I made for the other one.
Oh, no worries.
But that was it. So like I said, it was a culmination of the days. So I don't think there was one standout dish that was like that was the winner, because I don't think there was. I think rock solid. I think I just stayed kind of consistent. Yeah,
stayed rock solid, and that palate helped, right? Like did you feel like, and this is just coming from complete novice about almost everything, because fucking I know nuances for whiskeys. People will be like, tastes like caramel and toffee and blah blah. I'm like, tastes like I'm gonna get drunk. I don't know what to tell you. We almost had a spit take. Mm-hmm. That was going to be fantastic. We almost had a spit take. That's true. Like I part of the journey for everyone who listens at home is I'm a novice. I'm a nerd.
That just means you got so much ahead of you.
Yeah. I have plenty of room to learn. Mm-hmm. But there's nuances. All these people are like, oh, it tastes like toffee and coffee and blah, 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 blah. Like this is fantastic. It tastes great. That's all I know. I
Yeah.
can tell you why. I can tell you what it hints of, but I'm not as developed.
Half of those people are bullshitting you.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I swear to God, there are moments I was like, there's no way that you're like,
Yeah.
you can't say everything tastes like marshmallows. You can't say everything tastes like, this tastes like just almonds and hazel. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
If you say it with conviction.
Yeah, if you say like you really mean it, everyone else feels dumb. But do you feel like that palate, especially you coming up, making more meals, more like, did you develop a palate or was it natural from the get? Or is it something you had to train?
Well, I think it's both. I think some people naturally might have a better palate than others just naturally, but I think even those people that are naturally good at it, you need to train your palate.
Yeah.
And you know, there's, as far as this goes, there's no better way to train your palate than by drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm training. That's what I'm doing.
And then you kind of need, once you've identified those flavors, a huge part of it though is having memory recall so that you know when you taste it again what it was. You know, like maybe you pick up like an Elijah Craig peanuts, tons of peanuts in that for me. You know, and in another thing you might get toffee, or in another thing could be, you know, like you know, some of that older stuff you get like that leather or something. But it's important to train your palate to know what you're looking for, but just as importantly to be able to recall it and know that you remember that you learned it, and then you can apply it to when you pick it out again.
That's fair. And that stays true with food as well, right? Like that umami feel and all that stuff. So it seemed like almost like the natural progression to also be really good at making drinks, because you know what tastes good.
I know what I like.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
honestly,
you know what a lot of people like. We're here for a reason. Like,
it's almost silly or simple to say, but I know what I like, and I'm going to assume at this point in my life that I know what most people like. And so, you know, at least I know it's pretty good. And so if I say, man, I think these mashed potatoes are great, well, I think you're going to like them too. You know what? Yeah. And I think if these mashed potatoes are salty, you'll probably think that they're salty, or at least the average other person will. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's always going to be one guy who likes more or less salt.
Yeah,
but I think I know where the good middle of the road lies, whether it's mashed potatoes or old fashioned. I think I can get us there. Yeah. With reliability.
I would say, I would agree. As I'm looking around this establishment, I would agree that you know how to get there. Funny enough, we recently even talked about it in the last episode, where it's like I think when people make what they love, other people resonate with it. Other people will see the conviction, will see the passion, will see like how much love got put into a dish, or how much thought and process went into everything you put out. So that speaks also to it. Like very often people are not buying the product, they're buying the person behind the product. They're buying all that. But food, obviously, if it doesn't taste good, I could love you as a human being, and it's trash is trash. I was like, look, I love you. Like, hey, what do you think of this meal? You're a really sweet person. It's never a great sign. But obviously you found, like, you know what a lot of people like. You've been very successful over a course of, like, I'm not going to age you, but a substantial amount of time.
Well, I mean, you know, we've determined, I came to town in 2000 that we've been open for 10 years.
People have been drinking here. They are not doing math.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's about, I think, authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, we are authentically here for what we're doing, and we're not trying to bullshit anybody in regards to our food or our cocktails. You know, we're going to give you an authentic experience.
Yeah.
Did I say it right? Authentic experience of it's going to be good. You're going to like it. It's real. We make everything here in house. Yeah. Right. We make our own butter for our biscuits. We make our buttermilk that we make for our biscuits. We make our own ketchup for a hamburger. You know, all our sauces made fresh. Everything. I mean, you know, what do you want me to do? Get some bees and put them on the roof to make my own honey? That's like the only thing that I'm not really doing. But
you're pretty damn close at this point.
You know what? If you're not, honestly, I would do it. I want bees. I want to have bees.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a part of me that was like, I wonder if I should take up beekeeping, but my fiance is scared shitless of bees.
I think you need an acre. I hear you need 1 acre of land to do it. And if you got an acre, you can do it. I had my relatives raise bees. I'm sure most people's relatives did.
I wonder if I could volunteer to be.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
You can buy a queen and you know, and set it up.
Yeah, we have like the bullshit, like little big bees. Like I have bees around my flowers and stuff like that. Yeah. And people freak out and it's like, stop. They live here.
Yeah, like, you wouldn't be able to eat if it weren't for bees. Yeah. They pollinate your food.
Yeah, I'm like,
never mind honey. They pollinate your food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, they live here. Leave them alone. Like, you're not scared of us? Like, no, I walk by them every day. It's like morning, Fred. And I just keep it going. Like, it doesn't fucking bother me.
Bees are awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think everything you do here, you really, especially when I think about Southern comfort food, SoCo food, like it just feels authentic and genuine. Like I've never thought about Southern comfort food and not thought about like a hug, basically, like a family and friends.
Right. It just, because that, like you said, family, it makes you feel warm. It makes you feel comfort.
Yeah.
And then we kind of take that comfort and then make it contemporary. And so where we kind of elevate the Southern comfort to elevating it to Southern contemporary.
Yeah, very fair. We're gonna keep drinking because I think I got you for another 15, 20 minutes.
You got me as long as you want me, or as long as the people want to listen.
Yeah, people would love this. But so you did all this. Your family, everyone's a great cook, but no one decided to take the hard road. Now, not to get too personal, has there ever been a moment you're like, should I not do this?
Well,
like, because it gets tough, but I'm saying like throughout your career, not now, not recently, obviously you're fucking made it. Like, was there a moment, like a turning point that you're like,
in high school,
yeah,
I wavered between playing a trumpet for a living or being a cook. And that was in about 11th grade, because I mean, early on, like it was like, 6th grade, I said I was going to be a chef, but around 11th grade, I was like, I don't know, maybe
trumpet.
Yeah, but I wasn't good enough. So I was, I thought it might be cool, but I was honestly, I had a guy who gave me like lessons. He was private lesson on the side, and he was way better than I expect I would have been. And I was just like, I don't think it's for me. I don't think I'm good enough. So I didn't. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know. I'm glad you didn't, because we wouldn't be here.
And right. I mean, you'd have to come see me over at the Symphony or something. I don't know.
I'll still do it. I'll bring the whiskey with me. We can play music in the background. Music might be better if you've been drinking. But that's interesting. I didn't know that. I couldn't find that. Obviously, that's not listed.
No, that's not out there.
That's not out there. But now it is. Now it is, because we do a show. Strike that from the record. Never happened.
No. Put a check on that. It's all good.
Good. All right, we're going to circle back to that Deathbed cocktail. Or at least, what is your Mona Lisa cocktail? How about that? How about someone that you're like, if you had a friend that's coming in and you're out of town, and you're like, hey, I need you to, and they're like, I want your best drink. What is something you would personally put in front of them? And meal.
Man, that's hard. Well, I have to know what kind of spirit one prefers, right? Because if you tell me it's whiskey or she says it's mezcal,
let's start with the meal and we'll get to the nuances of the cocktail.
Well, the meal, if you've never been to SoCo before, we have to have chicken and dumplings. We mentioned earlier that chicken and dumplings is not my grandfather's chicken and dumplings. It's our lobster dumplings and soy butter and the edamame and the mushrooms.
I'm allergic to shellfish, Rob.
Oh, you are?
I'm lactose intolerant and allergic to shellfish. Yikes. I would die.
All right. Well, you're not going to get that then. Yeah. I'm not going to give you that.
No, I'm saying, like, I every time I hear people tell me about lobster and everything, oh my God, it's fucking so delicious. And I'm like, yeah, I would literally.
It's like you're allergic to sex.
Basically, you know how many times, thank God I have a Hispanic, very aggressive girlfriend. Oh, fiance. She would come with me. I said girlfriend. Anytime we go to like Kobe's.
She got a promotion.
Yeah, she did. I call her my ex-girlfriend, and she says that's not okay.
That's funny. She's like, that's funny though.
But it's true. It's true. She's like, don't do that. I was like, well, you're my ex-girlfriend. You're no longer my girlfriend. People need to know.
That's good.
She hates it, but she'll be the first person like, let's just cook near like shellfish, because she kept me alive. I've had allergy attacks. That's for another day.
Did you keep an EpiPen on hand?
Not with me, but typically I have 2 in the house. I have 2 when we go somewhere. Because one time I almost died.
Wow.
There was my throat closed up, my mouth swole up, all this, and she had to give me Benadryl and all that. We didn't find out I was allergic to all this stuff until later on in life.
Oh.
Apparently fucking your body hates you.
Yeah, it changes.
The older you get, the more your body hates you. It's not.
It's really not.
Like, oh, now I have.
Not only is it harder to like get out of bed without pulling a muscle, you become allergic to things.
If you sneeze suddenly, your body's not prepared. You might tweak your neck and back. You have to turn like Batman. But if you had, so chicken dumplings is that recipe that you're like, hey.
Well, that's like I said, it's been here for 10 years. It's not going anywhere. One of the things,
even if it's not from SoCo, what if it's something from your personal like recipe book that you're like, hey, a family member's in town for the first time in a long time, off menu if you wanted to, not forcing you, just off menu if you wanted to. Because it's about you, man.
I'm so bad at these things. Like I hate committing to saying things like that. Like if it's a quick, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite movie?
All right,
I suck at that.
We can move on.
But I mean, right now, right? You know what it is? I would say it changes. Today, you know what I'd tell you? Have my tacos.
There we go.
You know, if you ask me in a month, it might not be the tacos. It'll be what I'm in the mood for. Maybe it's like my thing. So we have a Southern style taco that I stand behind 100%. It's crazy good to me, which again, since I got a pulse on finger on the pulse, I think you would like it too. So I'm going to insist you try that, and you can call me bullshit if you don't agree. But
never that.
But I make it with my biscuit tortillas, and that's something that I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure that I've never heard of a person making that before me.
I've never heard of biscuit.
I have heard them come. I have heard of people doing them after me, which is fine. But throw some credit where it's due. But anyway, it's a great taco. And on Tuesdays we actually do
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
That's so true. On Tuesdays we do different tacos here for Taco Tuesday. So we do sweet soy pork belly.
Fucking really?
Yeah, we do tempura shrimp, and then we do the standard buttermilk fried chicken.
Oh.
So we always got buttermilk fried chicken, but if you come on Tuesday, we'll do either the pork belly or the shrimp versions. And of course, we'll put that together with a couple of different types of margaritas and stuff. So Tuesday's a great day to come for those, but every day is a great day to come for the chicken or the other things.
We should be recording on a Tuesday. Why are we here?
I'm off Tuesdays.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
All right. And so other questions off script. You didn't get this one, but where do you go to drink and eat on your days off? Because chefs, bartenders, you don't want to cook at home, I'm sure.
Yep. Well, we've determined already. I'm a big fan of the courtesy. I mean, you got a bunch of cool people over there, Mitch and Josh and Billy. All cool people.
Probably going there after here, depending on what's
Are we?
We can if you're off. You're the boss.
I don't know if we can get in. It's a Miracle on Orange.
We're bar. If we go to the bar, we don't have to really make reservations.
Okay. So maybe. Otto's High Dive, I think, does a great job over there.
That's awesome. They're pretty new. I haven't tried them yet.
They might be coming up on 2 years, year and a half, 2 years.
I have not gone
Those
yet.
guys do a really nice job, and I know some of those guys, and they make some great drinks. And I tell you, they got this one drink, a ton of drinks. What the hell's going on over there?
I don't know what's happening.
We're getting background Soco noise.
I could remove.
Yeah, I can tell you. I'm listening to somebody. It sounds like they threw water in a frying basket, or like there's water and hot oil, and it's giving me anxiety.
If it's from the audio standpoint, I'll fix it.
No, not even the audio standpoint. From the culinary and managerial standpoint, what the hell are they doing? Is what I'm thinking.
Guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break.
My foot's itching right now.
Because I think Greg wants to check up on the staff.
my foot's itching because it wants to go in somebody's butt.
Oh my God. We do have to we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. I'll let him check on that. And make sure that you support the people who support us and Aurora Fables Cabaret. And they do have a show coming up for the Red Death Masquerade. They did win for Orlando Fringe Best Show. So they're going to be doing a show at the Plaza Live in January. So get your tickets. There's a full ball after the show. Fucking, I love that.
That sounds fun.
It is a lot of fucking fun. And they're going to have full cocktail bar, everything. And there's that whole ball. So make sure you check them out, guys.
That's fancy too.
Yeah, it's looking fun. Be right back, guys.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group, comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective, or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
Hey guys, so we are back. I do want to talk about something we talked about off air. Why the fuck does daylight savings time keep fucking happening? Like, why do we keep it's dark at 5 p.m. It feels like it's midnight now.
I'll vote for any politician that abolishes this time change shit.
Yeah, 100%. Like
I don't even care whatever else they say.
That sucks because there's a part of me that's like, he will get rid of daylight savings time. Like, he says the most controversial shit, but daylight savings time is gone.
Yeah.
Is he that bad?
You hate puppies?
Whoa.
You hate puppies, but you're going to get rid of daylight saving? Okay.
I went to walk my dogs at 5 p.m. and it feels like it's fucking 11. I'm like, what is happening?
Nobody wants to come out to dinner when we open because it's
early.
It's 5 o'clock, but nobody knows what time it really is.
At all.
Mm-mm.
At all. It sucks. I know like Arizona and other states don't follow the daylight savings
Hawaii
times
doesn't do it. Arizona doesn't do it.
because it's dumb.
Because it's dumb.
Because it's fucking dumb.
It's outdated if nothing else.
Yeah, I fucking pissed off about it. Guys, we are trying a very unique bottle now. It's going to be another rare cast because I wanted to make sure that we stay to this. So it's a straight rye whiskey finished in a, say the word for me, Abanara?
Amberana.
Say it to the mic.
I'm gonna look at this and make sure I'm doing it. Amberana.
Abanara cask.
Isn't that from Brazil?
We could look it up.
I think it's
I
Brazilian
think it
wood.
is Brazilian, but we will find out. So this one I actually found online for the Reserve Bar Top Flight series, because rare character is pretty hard to find in Florida, or Orlando at least, short of some barrel picks and things of that nature. But it's a unique bottle for sure. It comes in 119.5 proof. It's aged 6 years, 8 months. It's going to be something that I've tried once, and I was like, it tastes interesting.
I like it.
I didn't dislike it, but it was not what I expected.
It's a controversial thing. The Amberana, like I've heard people that despise it with their whole life, and other people that dig it, and I lean towards dig it.
If you had to like kind of describe it as a flavor, because this is really
Well, I've only ever had it finished in an Amberana. What I would really like to have is something that's been aged exclusively in it, so that I could get like a real baseline for 100%, like what really it is. I feel, to me, it really gives you a thick mouthfeel. I catch like marshmallow, like a rich, gummy, marshmallowy thing here going on.
Candy. It feels like candy-ish sweet.
Oh, yeah.
So you are 100% right. It's Brazilian oak. Amberana is known as Brazilian oak. It's often used in South America for making essential oils, craft and luxury furniture, and barrel aging Brazil's most popular spirit, cachaca.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that last part.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting flavor and just a very unique profile. So we're getting towards that tail end of it where I'm going to go enjoy real life food in real time. But I did want to ask you a couple more questions. Just what advice do you have for anyone who's getting into the culinary scene? And I want your real answer because I thought it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Well, people that want to get into the culinary scene, I mean, of course, there's different ways to go about it. But if you mean the food-wise, well, you need to make sure you want to do it. Like, you know, back, and it's kind of changed, you know, back in the old days when people did it, you know, read Kitchen Confidential. Did you ever read that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge you to read that by Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential.
I love it.
Well, that's the book that set him like on the path to being a famous man, because it was a great book, and anybody who's in the industry like read that and like immediately identified with it. So there was that group of culinarians when he wrote that.
Yeah.
And then you had like the next generation that like when the Food Network came out, you know, in the early 2000s and stuffs, and all these guys would look at all these people coming on TV, and they were the first iteration of like the food celebrities on TV. That launched like a whole nother group of people that wanted to be chefs. Of course, they're the ones that thought they were going to like go to culinary school and graduate and be the next
Gordon Ramsay
in a day.
Yeah.
Like pay no dues. Like, oh, you went to culinary school? Well, great. Well, now you're a chef. Well, no, you're not. Yeah. You're an idiot. Peel more potatoes, you know? Yeah. But ultimately, I think where we are now is, if you want to be a chef, if you want to be in the culinary career, you need to love it, because it's like forever. Like it's a long journey, and it's hard. And people have come to me before. I've had people come. I had one time a young lady. She came in here. She emailed me and she's like, "Could I interview you? You know, I have questions. Like I'm in high school, and you know I'm taking home ec, or I'm taking, you know, whatever culinary class, and you know I'm talking about I want to be a chef. Can I interview you?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so we did it. And she's like, "Well, what do you think about it?" I'm like, "Well, it's hard. And here, let me ask you these questions. Like, where do you want to be on the weekends? Do you want to be out on dates? Or do you want to be out with your friends? Because Friday, Saturday night, you're going to be in the restaurant. Where do you want to be on Valentine's Day, on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, on whatever? Well, you're going to be working. Do you like a nice chill day because it's stressful? How about getting burnt? Do you like getting burnt? Do you like getting cut? No, I just listed a bunch of things that most people avoid like the plague. Who wants to do all that stuff? That right? Like that's rough.
Yeah.
So you're getting burnt, cussed at, yelled at. That was back in the old days. Hardly anybody cusses and yells at kitchen staff anymore. But when I was coming up, it wouldn't be uncommon at all to get cussed and yelled at. But it's a rough way to make a living. So you need to love it. And I just gave you the worst aspects of the worst possible version of it, because I didn't want to sugarcoat it. But once you get past all that, well, then there's rewards to be found, because once you get past, okay, I'm trying to scare out the people that aren't serious about it. Mm-hmm. And the people that are going to run away are going to run away. But then the people that are doing, there's a wonderful camaraderie to be found within a kitchen.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful, like, kind of a synergy and a back and forth to be had between a crew when these guys or people are on their job and they're kicking ass and we're doing a thing. It's like a beautiful symphony, because one guy cannot whistle a symphony. It takes a whole bunch of different parts to add their part to create the whole orchestra's symphony. And so that's the great side of it. Or to develop a relationship, like with me and Craig has been with me for 10 years. We can speak without words. He can look at me or vice versa, and we know what the other person's thinking, what we need, what we think, and it's just that's cool. Yeah. So, when you walk out of the kitchen, if I walk out of the kitchen and I walk in through the dining room and I look and I'm looking, and I hear the music going and I'm looking at the people, and what's cool is when somebody takes a bite of their food and they look at it and they point at it. That's always a good sign. Nobody points at something that's like, they're like, this is awesome. That's what's happening when they point at it, You cruise over into the bar and you hear that sound. I'll tell you one of my favorite sounds in the world. Those cocktail shakers shaking, man. I love that sound. That's just the sound of like vibrancy, of like energy. It makes me kind of salivate, because I know there's the delicious thing is about to come out of that, And you get the music kick in, and it's all one wonderful thing. So all the things that I just said is what turns this rewarding and into something wonderful, versus the scary part that I threw up initially. So if a young person or an older person wants to get into this business, understand what you're getting into, the burns, the cuts, the stress, because there's going to be stress, even if without the, without the mean people yelling at you, there's still stress, because we still have to get out. These people want to get fed. They want their appetizer in 10 minutes. They want the next thing to happen, within 20 minutes. By the way, they can't only be kind of good. They all got to be great. And it can't be, they all got to be great, so there's very little room for error. So there's a lot going into it. It's not a simple business, in a lot of ways. How did the
high school student turn out after you said that to her?
Well, that particular girl I was talking about actually came back and did an internship here.
That's awesome.
She did great. She had potential and a great work ethic and a great attitude. And she went on back to school, and she's still doing stuff now. So we still stay in touch a little bit, and she's like in the pastries, and so doing very well. Yeah.
That's actually really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You told her the truth, and she's like, yeah, I'm still here. Go on. I'm here. Where do I sign up? And she fucking came right back here.
Pretty cool.
That's not pretty cool. That's really fucking cool. That's awesome, man. Do you think that, like, especially when you talk about celebrity chefs and you talk about shows like The Bear and all that stuff, like, do you think that makes people, different aspects? Show like The Bear feels like they give you a little bit more behind the scenes of what cooking can be. And then you see like those master chefs and all those shows make it seem alluring to the people who don't know the work. Same thing as like if someone were like, I want to break into music, and they only see the success stories, not the failures.
Well, no matter what, as a musician, you need talent and you need to be a good musician, right?
Yeah.
As for like TV shows, The Bear stressed me out. And so I watched like 3 episodes of it, maybe 4, and I couldn't stick with it because it just stressed me out. I leave work. I don't need to stay.
Okay.
I don't need what I'm trying to get away from. the high energy, the stress,
So it was pretty accurate to the real cooking.
It was accurate enough to like semi trigger me in that I didn't need that like in my downtime.
My buddy Mikey, I wrote him. There was an episode where all the tickets were just flowing and all this.
Oh no, that's like my nightmare.
And I was like, hey, like I saw people drinking out of that like plastic cup.
Yeah,
and I was
sure.
like, that's accurate because I've worked as a
sure.
security somewhere.
They got good consultants.
Yeah, I was like, whoever actually helped them like knew what the fuck they're doing. Like sitting on milk crates in the back somewhere. Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah. But I asked Mikey, I was like, hey, what did you think of the bear? He's like, fucking stressed me the hell out.
Yeah, he's right.
He's like,
I mean, it's what it did to me. So I can't watch it. I'm not saying it's not a good show.
That's a fantastic show.
I'm just saying it's not for me.
Yeah. But do you think? All right, two different questions. Obviously, you already kind of answered it. That show depicted pretty spot on what the culinary and chef experience is like.
It made me feel stressed.
So yes. So 100% in a negative way. Yes. Yeah, it's accurate. Fucking give me PTSD.
Yeah.
It's accurate. Do you think that there's kind of a disservice about glorifying, like when you become, all you have to do is culinary school and you'll be a master chef. Like, do you think that's not being accurate depicted, or do you think that's necessary to get to show the positive of it?
I could talk about a couple different shows. Like, I have a lot of respect for like Gordon Ramsay as a chef, but I despise that Hell's Kitchen show. I think it depicts chefs as raging assholes and just lunatics that yell at people. You know, I mean, you take 10 dudes or people and say, okay, here we are, we're going to open up, now go. And then without any proper training or whatever, you just yell at them and like, you're a stupid asshole and what you're doing is wrong and you suck. And it's like, well, yeah, of course.
I don't know what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
They don't know anything. So anyway, I don't like that show because it makes us as chefs look like we're crazy, and we might be, but we don't need to be crazy for that. Okay.
We might be. You just got to slide that in.
You know, but, and then, you know, when you get a show like MasterChef, that person's not a master chef. That's not master chef. They are master chefs out in the world and in the country and the world, but that shows that what they mean to say is home cook, very good home cooks.
Yep.
You know, they could be really, really great home cooks, but they're not master chefs because that's a whole other thing. And they're confusing what that word means. And then there's probably some other shows, and some of them are pretty good, but I'm kind of anti-reality TV altogether. No matter what it is, I don't like reality TV. So that's just me.
You and I would get along a lot.
Yeah.
There are moments where I even watch, fuck it, it's bullshit. We can talk about it. Like my fiance watched the show Love is Blind.
Wouldn't know.
All right, cool. I'm going to tell you the premise of the show.
I assume I hate it.
Yeah, you would hate it.
Yeah.
Fucking absolutely hate it. I'm going to tell you the premise of the show, and you tell me how asinine it sounds. People who have been struggling to find a decent relationship because they feel that image is everything that's impacted their relationships, agree to be on a show where all males are put on one side, all females are put on another side, and they speak through a wall. And within the course of over 3 weeks, they decide if they're going to marry the person across that wall.
Can't they just call each other on the phone?
Yeah, but they say love is blind. Like, you get to know each other, ask these prodding questions, all this stuff, and then you have to make a decision at the end of this. After dates of separate people, you pick people and say, hey.
In-person dates?
No. Through the wall.
Phone dates?
No, through a wall. There's a wall where you see like the shadow of them on the other side.
Okay.
At some point when they decide, yes, I'm going to ask that person to marry me, they meet for the first time in real life to get engaged. And then they go through getting to know each other physically and see each other and meet each other's families. And at the end, at the altar, they decide whether they're going to be together or not.
Ugh.
And the whole fucking time, I'm screaming, you just met that motherfucker.
I hate it.
I hate every moment of it.
Yeah, I hate it from what you said.
Yeah, I hate every moment of it. But it's like a fucking... not to sound morbid, but it's one of those things like it's so awful you can't look away of how stupid it is.
It's a train wreck, huh?
It's a train wreck.
Yeah.
A fucking awful train wreck. And my fiance those times like, let them love each other. I was like, they don't even fucking know each other.
They don't love each other.
They don't love each other. They love the...
How many seasons of The Bachelorette has been there?
I have no
Well, guess what? I've never seen one of them, but I know
one.
that they keep showing the same crap. And
Yeah.
Who's getting married?
There's a joke online. It's like 25 women or men get on the show because they hate people that date multiple people at once.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
but you're dating one dude or lady that is dating multiple. You know what? I'm not doing this. She's going to yell at me. When she listens to this part, she's going to yell at me. Guys, we're closing out. We're about to go eat and do our own stuff. Make sure that you're checking out everything here. But Chef, where can people find you on social media? Where can people tell it? You got some upcoming events. I do want you to share those and things that you want to share about Soco.
Thanks. Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you. So Soco, we are in Thornton Park, and if you're not sure where Thornton Park is, we're by Lake Eola. We're called the downtown for grown-ups. So we're not downtown in the middle of some of that stuff that gets a little bit weird and out of hand. We're at the edge over there. We keep heading east. We're on the edge past Lake Eola, like we say, we're at Thornton Park. So we have been here 10 years. We are giving you Southern contemporary food, which is elevated, upscale Southern food. You come here to like relax. You come here to feel good and to just settle in with some good people. We're not stuffy at all. We want you to just come and have fun. What else was I about to say? I was about to say, what are we doing around here?
Yeah. What upcoming events? What upcoming events do you have, and where they can find you on social media? Where they can find you?
Right. Yeah. So, and I blame Arthur for making me drink all this bourbon just for why I lost my thought just now.
I apologize for just being a positive influence.
Son of a gun, you. So you can find me on Instagram at Chef Greg Richie. Facebook, well, Greg Richie. I'm the same chef dude.
Mm-hmm.
And Soco Restaurant. So at Soco Restaurant.
Someone give us a wave.
Hey, what's up, folks? At Soco Restaurant, you can get us on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all I know. I mean, I guess what we're putting together currently, I'm reaching out to some folks in the industry, some of my friends, some colleagues, so we can do kind of a 10th anniversary party. Mm-hmm. To kind of help us celebrate, what we're doing for our anniversary. And that's all I could think of right off the top of my head.
Well, hey, I'm going to be sharing everything on socials as much as I can, and any upcoming events. They've been doing some great shit. Like, I love the cows and cabs thing and all these programs. I wish I had known earlier. I would have just showed up.
It'll be here next year. I believe it was I think it was the 12th year that they just had. Okay. Yeah, but there's always cool things going on. And they're generally for really good causes. You get your cows and cabs going on, and $1 million, like we mentioned earlier, was raised. Insane. You've got the iDignity folks that are doing a great job helping, people regain their identities or gain some identity that don't have any. Like, there's people that are like maybe they're homeless or something, but they don't have a way to prove who they are, so that they're having a hard time with that. So they have the super duper that happens. There's the taste, at the moment, some of these things escape me, but there's a lot of great things going on out there. Yeah. And we like to participate in them and just in our own little way, help people raise money for good causes is what we do.
Yeah. You also have a lot of really fun, unique things. I think you talked about it downtown that's the best way I've heard it. Yeah. Downtown for adults. I know Aku Aku's right up the block, a couple of places here, but this little area is so much it almost evolves from downtown. It's like, hey, you want better food, you want better drinks.
Yeah. Well, we're Thornton Park, and Aku Aku is definitely in Thornton Park. Yeah. They're just a block across down the way. They got some great tiki drinks and such over there. No, that's Todd and the gang, and they do a great job. Peter's over there. Yeah. So we're all community. And we all try to support each other, and I'm glad to call a lot of these folks my friends, and you.
Awesome, man. Check on that. I love that shit. Guys, we're gonna be sharing obviously everything that they're doing here at Soco. We're gonna make sure that continue to just. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're probably gonna be here on a Tuesday, or Ryan. What was it?
Friday is ribeye and rye.
Ribeye and rye. My fiance is going to hate me because I'm going to come home just constantly smelling like ribeye and rye. What are you doing on your lunch break?
That sounds delicious.
Sounds fantastic. Guys, if you're liking everything we're doing, make sure that you give them a follow. But follow us at Bourbon_and_BS because they won't let me curse on Instagram. So maybe rebrand. I don't know. Continue to join on the Patreon. Recently, we are, for anyone who is a Patreon, we're going to be raffling off a pair of glasses. Rocks glasses, not glasses the other way. Rocks glasses, customized engraved bourbon and bullshit, brought to you by Burn Pest Control, one of our major sponsors. And we're going to be giving away a bottle and a gift card, depending on those 3 place winners, all brought to you by our sponsors. So continue to give us a like, follow, join us on Patreon. If you're enjoying what we're doing, share. That's going to help me. Solid, guys. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your time. Be safe. Don't text your ex. Avoid Amazon one-click buy and drink responsibly. We don't want to hear anything wild going on in there. But if it's an indoor and safe, share it with us. Bye, guys. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdy Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had, from flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business. I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.